No, there's nobody. You are the only one online for now. Nobody's okay. We have a person online. Attendees. Maybe we can give them 5 minutes. That person is not a panelist. Person is that. Nini, it's time now. Yeah, be going for that session. So that's something very, 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 very needed for Jamaican schools. Talking about countries, other things, talking about the dynamic of youth identity and political violence in Nigeria. We need to oh, don't waste time. Dude, which section are you attending to? Listen, I don't know the one that's going on. Dude, let me check. Dude, is there G1, B1, 2, 3? For this section, there's no any G. From G02, you have to go downstairs. Then if you walk down. That's the first, the second one, that's the G02. Yes, no, down, ground floor, yes. Yes, you walk down. Then you be something number two. The first one is with G1, second one will be with G02. Oh, I don't know. Yes. Presenters, we have Oluwase Paul Adebili. Then we have Folúlọpẹ́ Adérònà. Then we have Busa. Then we have Moses Ilo. Next person is Ismail Shehu. Next person. People are presenting the career. I'm not here. Is that huh? Um, Question is from 5:30 to 7. 5:30 to 7. Yes, 1 hour. 1 hour. Not going to exceed 7 o'clock. No, if the issue is we cancel the session. Yes. Huh? Yes. Yes, they are physically no. The man of the class. Yes, yes, the same. Maybe there's another point that like one little. Okay. Good evening, Dr. Paul. Can you hear us, sir? Good evening, Dr. Oluwaseyi Paul. Dr. Paul. Dr. Paul, can you hear us, sir? Sir, we can hear you, sir. Dr. Paul, we can hear you. Can you? Good evening, Dr. Paul.
Good evening.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. I can hear you so clearly. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can.
Hello. Hello.
Dr. Paul, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Is anyone online?
I can't hear Dr. Felix. So
I can hear Dr. Felix.
I can't hear Dr. Felix. I can sing, but I can't hear him. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Hmm. Can you hear us now, Dr. Paul?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, so I was saying that only myself and you are in the room presently. The other three
That's it.
presenters are not yet around.
All right,
So
sir.
I'm of the opinion that we should still hold on for maybe 5 minutes. So if you don't
All
see
right.
them, then both of us will present alone. And okay, is that fair? Or do you want us to start while they come and join us?
Whichever way is fine by you. You know, I will always follow your style.
On my side, there's no side. Okay. Okay, let's just hold on for 5 minutes. Next 5 minutes, we'll roll the ball.
Okay, no problem, sir.
You have a slide. Is it
She's
showing?
sharing it. Dr. Paul, you're sharing your screen, right?
Yes, I will.
Okay. I've I've granted you the access to share your screen. So when you're ready, sir.
All right, no problem.
Wow. What else? No, the session, we're just waiting for the presenters, and only two people are around. So we're waiting, three people are waiting for them. If you don't see them in 3 minutes, we are starting. Dr. Williams. Show one new secretariat. Maybe he's moving around. Okay, I was hearing his voice on the corridor. No. Okay.
Can we start now?
Okay. Dr. Adedbile.
Sir, all right.
Okay, so we'll go start right away. I welcome everybody to our panel on infrastructure and livability in Lagos. The panel focuses on infrastructure and livability in Lagos. We will all agree that infrastructure is a critical component of urbanization and livability in every city globally. In this context, we'll be discussing how infrastructure has actually impacted on livelihoods in Lagos and development and urbanization. And we have very, very interesting panelists, very interesting topics to be discussed by erudite scholars. So 5 papers are actually outlined for presentation in this session. However, only 2 people are currently on ground. We hope that the remaining presenters will join us as we progress. The first presenter is Dr. or Mr. Paul Oluwaseyi Adedbile, who will be speaking to us about the topic, where are the Moldware bosses, history, mobility, and socioeconomic transformation in Lagos. The second presenter, who should be presenting continuity and discontinuity of transport infrastructure in Lagos State, Tolulope, is not here. Tolulope Adeniran. The third presenter, which happens to be myself, will be presenting youth, gambling, and street betting in contemporary Lagos. The fourth presenter, Moses Ilo. His title is Urban Violence in Nigerian Cities, Lagos Experience since 1999. And the last but not the least is Ishmael Shehu from Lagos State University, whose topic is Addressing Population-Driven and Social Challenges in Nigerian Urban Centers. So while we wait for the remaining 3 presenters to show up, I would invite Oluwaseyi Paul Adedbile to present his paper titled, Where are the Moldware Bosses? History, Mobility, and Socioeconomic Transformation in Lagos. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, my panelists.
You have 15 minutes, sir. 15 minutes for your presentation.
Well, thank you very much, Chair. I'll be sharing my screen now so that I may take advantage of my slides. Okay. Can you see my slides, sir?
No, no. Okay, it's coming up.
Coming up.
All right. While that is unfolding, I say my warm greetings to the chair and all participants of this panel on Instructure and Livability. I am Adebile Oluwaseyi Paul. I'm sorry, my slide is okay. Okay, can you engage my slide now, please?
No, it's not showing.
Oh. How about now, please?
It's still not showing, sir. Okay, yes, it's showing now.
All right. Okay, so my title is Where are the Model Bosses? History, Mobility, and Socio-Economic Transformation in Lagos. I'd like to start by introducing the subject. First of all, we are in Lagos, so we don't need to say too much about the setting. If you are in Lagos, you understand the bustling of the environment, the economy of the environment, at least to an extent. But our focus here has to do with the Model buses. Okay, so the Model buses is a public transport vehicle in Lagos, Nigeria. And that this means of transportation is not just a common mode of transportation, but actually a dynamic social and commercial phenomena until the end of the 2010s. Before that period, you discover that the model buses has taken exerted masculinity on Lagos urban transportation, such that every nook and cranny of Lagos, you see the model buses, engaging commuters, moving them from one place to the other. It was not until the end of the 2010s that some government policies and other things, as we'll still discuss here, led to its gradual disappearance. Scholarly speaking, attention has been given to study public and urban transportation in Nigeria, especially in Lagos, which is the country's most populous city. It's not only the country's most populous city, it's also the country's industrial and commercial hub. For instance, Adeniji and Bolade, though differently, explored the intersection between urban development and public mobility. In their work, they stressed the need to improve existing urban transportation facilities and project for greater use of mass mobility structure rather than, the minibuses and private cars in urban areas. That was the discussion at the time. Olukoju also, and Olukoju's work in 2003 and 2004 also gave attention to this same thing. And there it was established that it was only in the 20th century that mechanical motor transport was developed as the dominant mode of transport, of urban transit, not only in Lagos, but just talking about Nigeria. And in this work, efforts were given to actually analyze in historical perspective, the development of urban transportation generally. Also, there is this other work, Salau, that was in 2015. The work examined the socio-economic characteristics of urban commuting in Lagos. Interestingly, this work actually gives perspective and provides background. But despite this, we discover that there has been scholarly silence on the nuanced disappearance of one of Lagos' most iconic and popular mode of transportation, that is the Molue buses. Talking about the Molue buses, the Molue are the yellow and black striped big buses, big Lagos buses, predominantly used as a mode of commercial public transport, of course, in Lagos. The Molue became a backbone of public transportation until state policies and regulation induced by modernity began to threaten its iconic dominance in the metropolitan transport space about a decade and a half ago. And it's important for us to also understand that these Molue buses or Molue structure, if you like, Molue system, are individually or corporately owned. They are not owned by government. And daily, they serve thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of commuters, providing a flexible and affordable mobility option for people. And I like to say that it appeared at that time, Lagos must appear to enjoy it. It gave them what they needed at that time. But essentially, talking etymologically, Molue is a Yoruba coinage believed to have been adapted from the English word remold, which can be simply translated as mold it. It illustrates the indigenous entrepreneurial and innovative improvisation of the imported Mercedes-Benz 211 truck vehicles, which are remolded upon arrival to meet Lagos urban mass transit demand. I will still discuss some other things while I get along, but I want to draw something on this on the origin of Molue. There have been a number of kind of arguments or debate, better still, on that etym, and you can find that debate properly in the work of Olukoju, 2003. That's infrastructural development and urban facilities in Lagos, 1861 to 2000. But essentially, it is interesting to know that the coinage of the term Molue comes from a perspective which I perceive it's satisfactory for me, molding it. And that is what I've adopted here, Molue. They molded that, Mercedes-Benz 211 truck. It's a truck, but it was molded to meet the demand of urban mass transit in Lagos at the time, which it did serve. My own aim in this study, my central argument is that contemporary urban transformation does not only offer welcoming and satisfactory socioeconomic comfort and experience it also tends to discontinue indigenous forms, even within socially framed communities. That I'm going to illustrate while I continue. However, in doing this, my aim is to interrogate primarily through a historical lens the instructures and developments that shaped not just the nuanced disappearance of the Molue buses, but also the nature of its connection and disconnection with the socioeconomic livability in Lagos. The methodology for this study, the study adopts the historical method in its descriptive and analytical form, engaging both primary and secondary sources. Primary sources include interviews, newspaper reports, online audiovisual documentaries, official documents, and government publications. However, talking about the criteria for eligibility for interview, I ensure that participants have used the Molue system, either as an operator or passenger in the period before the last decade, when the Molue energies dominated Lagos urban mobility. Secondary data was sourced from books, journal articles, and helpful internet sources. Let me begin with my discussion now on the history of the Molue. I just have this chart here to help my discussion. In the 70s, we discover the malware was gradually introduced, and it emerged, into urban. It began to interact in urban engagement as a means of transportation. The precursor of this was that Lagos population was growing, and the need for mass transit system was essential, because before that time there was this Bolekaja. It's also a means of mass transit at that time. I will show the image not long after now. The Bolekaja is a wooden lorry that is also used to move, people, commuters, from one place to the other, their homes to their place of work, their business place, and all the likes. But it became grossly inconvenient, just as the name connotes. Bolekaja, alight and let us fight. It illustrates the difficulties and the grievances that is breeded under the conditions of commuting with the Bolekaja. But by the 1970s, we see that the Bolekaja was already wearing out, and the Molwe buses the Molwe buses were beginning to, come up stage. From the 1980s to 1990s, the Molwe grew, and became established. It became a dominant system of transportation in Lagos. And what were the precursors at this time? We saw that we saw the intersection of a budding indigenous urban culture. Because at that time, you see, craftsmen were now engaging their expertise to see how to remold, a truck to now begin to move the masses, to move people, in that affair. Then also we see the entrepreneurship of the people trying to engage different approaches to see that the problem of transportation, urban mobility is actually solved. Then urban mobility also, we discovered that it became much more easy because different energies were channeled into seeing that the Molwe buses begin to respond to the demands of the society at that time. Then also, it also gave room for socio-economic survival struggles. It opened up opportunities for drivers, for panel beaters, for mechanics, conductors. Many people had, livelihood through the dominance and the growth of the Molwe system. And also, aside from that, it made it more easy for people to be able to commute from one place to the other, flexibly, other than it was during the period of the Bolekaja. That was around the 1980s. Aside from that, also during that period, also we saw the growth of artistic creativities and expression. You see how these Molwe buses, I have some pictures, but you see how these Molwe buses are so designed, so painted. You see a lot of creativity went into, the development of the Molwe. And I want to say that it must have been because of the creative genius of, the carving of the Molwe bus that made it appealed to the people to actually commute with it. Between 2000 and 2010, the 2000s and 2010, we began to see government policies and regulations against the Molwe system and the introduction of the BRT system in 2008. However, the precursor was that, before that period, there were heightened safety concerns regarding mass transportation, the almost intractable traffic issues with its associated tension and crime. The influence of modernity also shaped it, such that the Molwe was considered as no more, useful or no more befitting for the society, based on safety conditions, like I mentioned earlier, the traffic issues, the crime, and lack of proper management and administration of that system. Then between the 2010s and the 2020s, we discovered there was a gross replacement by other means of mass mobility, the BRT in particular. And of course, even currently now we begin to see different, the ferries, the rail the railway and many other things are coming up now that are quickly eroding the influence of the existence of the motorway buses. However, also during this period, because it was basically the intensified regulatory laws on urban transportation, which threatened and which continues to threaten the motorway service through restriction and environmental laws. You see, it's this. I want to quickly mention something here. This is the Bole Kaja. It's a wooden lorry, that also served the same purpose of mass transit, although very inconvenient and can breed a lot of that. And that happened up till the 1980s. Then you have the Molue too. You can see the picture there. I chose this picture specifically so that it can lead us to the next discussion at the next slide. You see it there. You see the conditions of the Molue itself. Even though big can contain more people and this and that, but it's not why it reigned. Actually, it dominated urban transit scene from the 1980s even to the 2010s. Then now you see the movement, of now the coming up of the BRT, the bus rapid transit, since the 2010 basically, and we still have that happening now, although we have many other inventions. All I want us to see here quickly is continuities. The issue of mass transit, mobility, is critical. Even though that is constant, that is continuous, we discover that the mode through which this need is being met or this need is being achieved is leading to the discontinuities of several other other forms of transportation. The Bole Kaja discontinued, and we saw the Molue. The Molue is also discontinuing, if it has not totally discontinued now, and we can also see the BRT. My next slide focuses on mobility. So talking about the mobility is actually a broad spectrum. This aspect is actually a broad aspect of my paper. It looks not only at the structure of the Molue, it looks at the social life the Molue brings to bear on commuters, on the road, on transportation culture, commuting culture. However, the Molue is known for its overcrowding and lack of space. Very, very inconvenient. You can also speak of it on certain safety conditions. The poor maintenance, of course, it's privately owned. So the owners were much more interested in their profits rather than taking care.
You have 3 minutes left. You have 3 minutes left.
Okay, they're maintaining this, maintaining this, the facility. There's also poor management, unruly behavior of the operators, environmental concerns having to do with air pollution, the emission of carbon. But aside from all this, possibly negative sides of the Molue, we discover that it is flexible, it is affordable, it has the capacity to contain more, commuter. Again, we can speak of its cultural relevance in terms of innovation, its resilience, opening up opportunity for people for socio-economic survival. In this regard, I talk about, drivers getting opportunity to work, conductors, panel beaters, rewires, all this created opportunity for survival for people. Let me just go to my findings quickly anyway. I'll be sharing just 2 findings here. The first is continuities and discontinuities are overlapping social appearances shaped by time and developments. While the need for mass transit in urban Lagos is captured in continuity, the mode and structure to meet such need changes with time, as in the case of the Bole Kaja and the Molue. Second, the Molue buses of Lagos represent more than just a mode of transportation. They are symbols of the city's vibrant culture, entrepreneurial creativity and innovation, as well as resilience. I move to my conclusion. Quickly, and the paper concludes, although still an ongoing work, but the paper concludes that contemporary urban transformation does not only offer welcoming and satisfactory economic comfort and experiences, it also tends to discontinue indigenous forms, even within socially framed continuities, just like we have seen in the case of the Molwe in the Lagos urban space. Also, in context of continuities and discontinuities, the study foregrounds how indigenous forms, such as the Molwe transport system, can be challenged by contemporary urban transformation in the African context. I want to say thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Mr. Dedele. But we'll come to the Q&A session after the second presentation. And to present the second presentation is Felix Oludare Adiola, University of Lagos. And that happens to be myself. So I'll be presenting my paper titled Youth, Gambling and the Peril of Street Betting in Contemporary Lagos. Okay. Let me say that this paper is part of an ongoing research project on youths and rural livelihoods in rural and urban Lagos. So it's part of my own research, which is still in the offing. So I'm still conducting the ethnography. I'm still conducting interviews. It's not been concluded. Okay, so what the paper seeks to do is to investigate the peril and dilemma of street gambling among youths in contemporary Lagos. Historically, gambling has been a significant socioeconomic activity in Lagos, reflecting broader historical, cultural, and economic transformation. Historically, especially in the pre-colonial period, gambling was deeply embedded in indigenous tradition, serving as both forms of entertainment and means of wealth redistribution. So society organized occasionally, gaming activities in a way not just to dispossess the other people from their income or resources, but as a form of redistributing opportunities. Games such as wrestling, dancing competitions, all right, and all forms of entertaining activities were initiated by communities. So, but the growing urban crisis in Nigeria in the post-colonial period, led to a renewed interest in gambling in a way that was highly capitalistic. And scholarship on street gambling, particularly in Lagos, has overlooked the social and economic arms associated with the emergent gambling culture in contemporary Lagos. So what I'm trying to do is that to fill an important gap, because much of the scholarship on youth in Africa focuses on youth innovation and responses to the efflorescence of technology. Right? There's much work in Eastern studies, the common imagination about youth's adaptation to ICT is about the impact of technology on fast wealth creation, instant gratification, yahoo, and and its contribution to local economies, not basically on the effect of ICT, what in some instances is known as platform capitalism on gambling culture. There is a renewed interest among youth in gambling, which is actually influenced by the growth of technology, mobile apps, which so in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, much of the gambling infrastructure that were quite dominant in Lagos were the pool houses, the casino, all right, and there are pockets of people play all forms of games within the community, snooker, table tennis, ludo, words, and all of that. But the dynamics changed from the 2000s, and in the last decade, it took a new dimension with the efflorescence of digital platforms. So my interest in this research in gambling arms is driven by reflexivity, all right, on some of the keenly observed connection between gambling and gentrification in Lagos. So that is actually fascinated me to this topic. I was quite interested based on the process of my research, with my broader research on youth and livelihoods, crime in Lagos. So I got some data. Some of my data actually revealed that there seems to be some connection between gentrification, especially in two of my case studies in my larger research, Lagos mainland, especially Abule Oja, Abule Jesha, in Bariga, in Oworo, and even Shomolu local government. All right, so there is rapid gentrification in terms of the rapid urbanization, which is not really induced by other factors other than capitalists capitalist activities of real estate investors, all right, in the area who buys or acquire properties to develop new structures. So the old structures, the ancient structures have been removed in some of this area. And so the connection to gambling was quite obvious based on my interrogations. My curiosity to investigate the dynamics of gambling arose in 2019 when my landlord's son in Shomolu, his name is Kunle, committed suicide after he had unilaterally sold his father's bungalow house for 9 million naira and used the proceeds to play betting to game without winning. So he had sold the money, he had sold the house, all the money invested in gambling didn't yield anything, and the boy took his life. So as a result of this, all the tenants were evicted from the house. The developer, real estate operator who acquired property, got court injunction. Family dispute erupted among members of his family, and it was a very, very messy situation. So my further inquiry into these development issues actually revealed that a number of houses had been demolished and been acquired within the local government, within the area, were actually through the instrumentalization, the instrumentality of gambling. Basically, young people in the family selling their parents' houses to bed, or even those who were children of landlord who were not longer alive, colluded to sell their houses, share the proceeds, and within 2 weeks, all the money had gone. And further investigation revealed that majority of the money were used, apart from clubbing, on gambling. So following my eviction from my 2-bedroom apartment arising from Kunle's outright sales of his family house, my scholarly interest in peril of gambling and street gaming became so intense. So I want to reconstruct how what began as common street betting with Ludo, with games, snooker, casino, and pool houses shifted to betting kiosks, shops, and now digital platforms. And how this has actually become a central feature of everyday reality, youth culture in contemporary Lagos. There is hardly any apart include in the informal sector. There is actually uh, uh, only a limited number of youths who are not daily engaging in gambling. You see, even in the informal sector, people, artisans who are bricklayer, who are organizers, who are mechanics. People get to their workshop in the morning and the first thing to do is to go and play, only to go back to check the results in the night. So most people youth invest their mega income, and these sources of survival on gambling. While even those who are in the formal sector, you see many young people going to work, they get to the bus stop, what they have to do is just to go to Abajebu's kiosk and first play game in the hope that when they are returning in the evening, there will be hope to smile. And this has actually contributed to the deplorable socioeconomic conditions of youth and even the psychological effects on their well-being. So many youths, the issue of mental, it has a lot of connection with the issue of mental health, which is becoming alarming among youth, because I could not imagine investing daily on a particular enterprise and without getting any results. So based on my primary data, such as interviews and focus group discussion with ardent gamblers, betting entrepreneurs, community members, government officials, and several stakeholders in the gambling sector, I intend to show how the prevalent economic crisis and the rise in gambling hailing apps has made street betting an everyday urban culture that shapes the livelihood and well-being of the youth. So I'm much more interested in the peril and the gains of gambling culture, interrogating how everyday gaming practices affect social, economic, and psychological stability and development of gamblers in Lagos. And to round up the basic questions that underpinned my research is basically, how did gambling become an important feature of youth culture and livelihood support mechanism, especially in Lagos? How are gambling practices enabled by ICT in Nigeria? In what ways have post-colonial social realities and the political economy of the Nigerian state solidified gambling culture among youths in Nigeria? And in what ways has platform capitalism also endangered or even enhanced the livelihoods and well-being of youth gamblers in a dependent neoliberal state? All right. To what degree has gambling ameliorated the everyday existential and economic predicament of unemployed youths in Nigeria? So these are some of the questions that my research seeks to interrogate. Of course, we know that with the perennial economic downturn, worsening poverty, inequalities, wage stagnation, unemployment, and cutthroat inflation, the last few decades have seen an increased number of youths, women, including men, including artisans, traders, students, and middle-aged workers addicted to various gambling platforms. There are major. I have a brother, who often would call you, give you a distress call, not for anything, that he just needed money. If you interrogate him, you realize that he wants to play. He'll tell you he has a number. He has a number in the dream that he needs to play. I need urgent 5,000 naira, and all it does is inject this money, and all of these people go through all kinds of mental, and emotional distress as a result of, poor results from, the gambling enterprise. So these are some of the issues, and some evidence suggests that why the conditions of this gambler continues to, worsen, the capitalists, who operate this gambling, have always have reasons to smile to the bank. Despite the growing urban misery exacerbated by gambling arms, the sector is growing at a geometric proportion. The gambling industry, currently is worth $1 billion, whereas in Africa, according to the Nigerian federal government, about 60 million Nigerians gamble daily. With Lagos State alone generating $243 million in revenue from the betting industry in 2023. So this is the dynamics, and the roots of all of this started in 2001, when a popular Nigerian entrepreneur and philanthropist, Chief Kensington Adebukola, Adebutu, popularly known as Baba Jebu, established the Premier Lotto. So what I want to know, is how what started in 2001 from Baba Jebu has not developed into diverse mobile apps, gambling healing apps, which has made gambling a dominant feature of youth culture in contemporary Lagos. Thank you. Okay. So I don't know if you have questions. You have people online. Okay. Though we have come to a few of us in this room, we can probably raise some questions if you have any. Then, but for Doctor, before I go to the other people in the room, if there's any online, the question, I have a few questions, about 2 questions for Mr. Adedbile, Oluwaseyi Adedbile.
Okay.
And the question is about, I was thinking that in explaining the transformation of Molue, all right, and its impact on urban mobility and socioeconomic transformation, you probably give us a brief historicity about the various forms of urban mobility, transport infrastructure in Lagos before the advent of Molue. All right, for instance, from the 1920s, there were quite a number of transport services provided by individuals, which transformed into private organization like the Amfani bus transport, which was owned by the daughter of a prominent Nigerian. All right, Chalote Obasa. Then there's also the Dawodu company. You have the Zappa transport system. Then from the 1940s and 50s, the state itself also invested, by floating the LSTC, I think Lagos State Transport Municipal Transport System, and it was also transformed by the 1960s. So it is quite important to know the historical transport systems in Lagos before the popularization of Molue. All right, as I've mentioned. The second one is also related to that. All right, with the introduction of Molue, all right, what was the role of regulation in the operation of Molue buses in Lagos? Because we all understand how the Molue system was characterized by all kinds of chaos, by crime, by rowdiness in urban space in Lagos. So we want to know about the question of regulation, the issue of regulation, that Lagos was quite notorious for crime and all kinds of molestation, harassment in the Molue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Felix. What you have raised are very, very important, and I must say I appreciate those contributions. Essentially, just like you have noted, there is an historical perspective to of urban transport to the mode where, as you have said, I made mention in my presentation of the Bole Kaja, the wooden bus. I mean, the lorry, the wooden lorry that was used before that time, before the Molue came. I only stood at that perspective, not looking so much to the rear. However, these studies had already treated those aspects of the historicity of urban transportation before getting to the point of the mode where while it is essential to look back, the essence of my study is actually to interrogate the factors that have shaped the nuanced disappearance of the Molue buses. However, very well, we understand the different regulations also that were put up by the state government, in a bid to properly regularize and combat some of the challenges that are associated with the Molue system. No doubt, the Molue had a number of challenges acquainted with it, but also there is also that good part of it you could mention that in terms of the social life of the people and how it develops all like that. So that's my little response. I will take note of that as I continue my research on the subject. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Do you have any other question? Okay.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Although I'm not from the history background, maybe I'm from Lagos, so my perspective might be different from what you are. So, for me, I don't know. Has there been like any trace of maybe those people going into gambling, winning, as such motivating people outside that, or what's really spark people, like, because there are people that are not gamblers, they've not gambled before. So why would somebody choose to go into that? Maybe because of this study, we were able to understand that, okay, this is why people maybe move into that. I don't know. So I was just kind of thinking about it. Something definitely is motivating.
Okay.
Maybe they saw this person wants this to be, and that's why they learn to do this. Then I have like a question for him.
Okay.
So I don't know, sir, like over the years, you spoke about how the transport system has been changing, even before the coming of the mobile buses. Like there were other forms of.
Can you come to the close to the microphone for him so that I can hear you?
I can't hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay, it's coming close to the mic. Hold on. All right.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. Can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay. So I said, like, over the time you spoke about how the different means of transportation was evolving. Even before the coming of the mobile buses, there was a mode of transportation. There was a system. I don't know because I'm not actually from Lagos, so I can't really say this is what they were using before they moved to mobile and then moved to this one. So what I was trying to ask is maybe did you try to look into whether there was any?
I can't hear him clearly, please.
Sit there. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, much better, please.
Okay, sir. So the basic thing that I've been trying to say is over the years, I don't know, before the coming of the mobile buses, there was other forms of transportation to in Lagos.
Yeah.
Like I think you were calling different years and how the thing was evolving down to mobile bus. So I was trying to ask, was there like a kind of any sustainability implication? Because I'm from the environmental management or sciences background. So I was looking at, was there any form of environmental implication as to why those mode of transportation was actually shifting? That's one of my questions, because I believe maybe even for the mobile buses, it could have been a reason for that shift. Maybe they were trying to move to more environmentally friendly means of transportation, like we're trying to do today now in Nigeria, trying to move from maybe crude oil to renewable energy, like electric cars and the rest. You see, it's a form of environmental friendly initiative. So I don't know, maybe during the course of your study, there was any form of connection to that. So I would like want to hear that. They're looking at the significance and importance of these mobile buses, like you spoke. It created employment, its whole significance in terms of the culture and other things. I don't know, sir.
Yeah.
For the study now, will you recommend like we go back to the use of this mobile, or what will be a balance to that?
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll take the question. I think I'll first respond. Well, we need to be fast because our time is fast spent. So he asked me a question about the motivating factor for gambling. All right, I noted that in 2001, when Baba Jebu floated, the popular lotto company, Baba Jebu, when Kessington able to floated Baba Jebu, it was more like a bonanza. That was the origin. That was what ignited the gambling culture among youth. So on daily basis, people go to play gamble, and it was as if the man was barely throwing millions at the people in Lagos. So people throw 200 naira to win 20,000 naira. People put in those who are audacious enough to put 2,000 naira go on to win 80 million, 50 million naira, and it became a recurring decimal. All right, that a source of attraction to people, that even those who would naturally not be engaged in gambling, the people in the formal sector, you see bankers, you see working class people, civil servants, in the morning on their way to work, they make sure they stroll to the gambling shops to play a number, hoping that by afternoon, when the results are out, they will get something. And so that was the origin. But the precursor to that was the embedded unemployment, the macroeconomic crisis in the Nigerian society. because no matter how, in spite of all the juiciness of gambling, people would know, even in the days of casino, some people were just allergic to it. But because of the attraction, then you within your family or your household, you see people rejoicing, declaring party, that they won't gamble and all of that. So that was how many people got attracted to that. That to the extent that people started selling properties. There are people who had been in a situation whereby the bus stop, someone came to you, an Agbero that has not eaten since morning, that could you just give him something to eat? And right in your presence, and you gave him the money, he just crossed to the gambling shop in your presence, not to use the money to gamble. So that has been the major. But underlining issue is the economic crisis in Nigeria. So, Dr. Adebile, can you just summarize within 60 seconds or 2 minutes, ma'am?
Hello?
See you after. All right.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, you have the time, you have the floor.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
However, I didn't get to hear all his reactions properly, but the little I can garner, I will try to respond to them. I think he made mention of something on sustainability. I think it's essential for us to understand that sustainability is critical, but unfortunately, not all these systems that existed before the malware were adequately sustained. What we had is discontinuities. These things they were not, once a new mode comes up, the former goes into extinction. A similar situation is what we are having with the malware bosses. I think talking about environmental issues, I just heard him said environmental. I don't know the perspective he was trying to draw on, but of course, I did make mention of the environmental issues that are that's associated with the malware. That's emission of carbon. I don't know if that is the direction he's trying to ask me question on. I just heard him spoke about environmental. So that's another issue, and it's a problem. Talking about management too, of course, the malware system was not well managed because it was in the hands of all these private owners, and they did it the way they wanted. So we can't talk so much on management under that regime. The government tried as much as possible, but they never had a fair share to control the system appropriately. And what they could do was to bring about a new system where they would have much more influence, leverage to control the system. I think I had the final question talking, should we go back to the malware? We are not actually saying we should go back to the malware. No one is saying we won't make progress. What we have now currently is suitable, it's comfortable, but at the same time, what we seek is integration. We seek integration. That a new form is coming up should not totally erode the old one. We can still bring in some of the systems that operated under the malware system into this BRT, engaging the drivers, engaging the conductor, working upon them so that their system that regime will not just end with them. They can still be useful, in bringing up a new system, not relegating them totally and creating up a system where they cannot operate. How do they survive? How would they meet daily needs? So these are crucial aspects on the aspect I have raised in my paper in that regards. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sheyi Adebile. That's a very wonderful presentation, and your last remark is quite very germane. The issue of rural livelihood sustainability is key. So, because that has been one of the major source of tension and criminality in Lagos when the government when they engage in forceful eviction from slums communities. So when you displace people from places because of urbanization, all right, as even in the context of transportation, the government often introduced new policies, phasing out. I think now they started the idea of phasing out the downfall buses also without alternative, means of alternative, livelihoods for the people who operate some of these buses. And when you displace people without alternative source of income, so they will they will always find something to do, and that could be crime. So thank you. I believe we've had a very, very robust and very, very engaging presentation. I wish all of us the best. We should continue to do our best, in informing the society, because intellectuals are the legislators of the world. Thank you very much.